Hi, I'm Savannah Wellman from Tiny Kingdom, a record label and artist management company that I co-founded in 2017 with my business partner. I'm also an artist and have performed in a number of different bands and have worked in various capacities in the music industry for the past 15 years. That included working at Music BC, where I organized and attended numerous different international showcases like the ones we will be discussing today. I'm also on the board of directors for the Music Managers Forum, and I help spearhead the BC chapter of Women in Music. So today we're going to be digging into conference-based music festivals. These events not only provide great opportunities for both artists and industry professionals, but also, of course, they can be a lot of fun. But it's important to not lose sight of your goals amidst all of those good times and to make the most of the opportunities that are available to you. So we're going to discuss some of the key industry events out there, how to prepare for them, how to stay on track once you're there, and how to follow up afterwards. Where to go? Well, for starters, you want to make sure that the event and the territory is relevant for your career. Some might not be applicable for your genre or take place in a region that you really don't plan on targeting or returning to in the near future. You'll want to look into any entry requirements such as visas or health tests and take those into consideration as well. It's also a good idea to confirm whether or not the event you're looking at is eligible to be supported by grants, which we will dig into a little bit more later. Some examples of some of the key industry events that cover a broad range of popular music and have extensive conference aspects include Breakout West here in Western Canada, or the Eastern equivalent, the ECMAs. We have Canadian Music Week in Toronto, of course South by Southwest in the States. There's Reeperbahn Festival in Germany, The Great Escape in England, Focus Wales in Wales, Eurosonic, which takes place in the Netherlands, FIMPRO in Mexico, and Big Sound in Australia. Some of the more genre-specific events include Mondial Montreal, which is a world music focus, Folk Alliance International, which is, you guessed it, for folk music, Americana Fest, again, for Americana music in the States, and New School Rules, which is in the Netherlands, which focuses primarily on hip-hop. So, of course, there's lots of others out there, so if there's a region or a genre that you are interested in developing, it's worth doing the research, reaching out to some of your local organizations to see what events might be applicable for you. When to go? For someone working in the industry, whether you're working for a company or for yourself, I would say as soon as you have the opportunity and you can afford it, do it. For a band or an artist, it's a little bit more nuanced. Since it can be a rather expensive undertaking, you want to make sure that it's the right time for you. Ideally, you'll have some interest, connections, or fan base in the area before you go. Some people recommend going for the first time as an attendee rather than a performer so that you can get the lay of the land, make your connections, and go back the next time with a little bit more understanding. It just depends on the timing and what makes sense for your project. Some questions to ask yourself before going are, do you have a new album in the works or recently released that you can promote? Are there any potential industry partners that are interested in working with you that will be attending? Is the band performance ready? And is there any time to book additional shows or tour dates around that event? It's worth noting that it's not uncommon that by the time you receive a showcase offer from a festival, it might be too late to book additional tour dates. So you might want to consider booking a tour around those areas ahead of time anyways, as you wait for results, if you can make that a useful tour with or without the showcase offer. Before you go, Well, it's good to look into any grants that might be available for travel and showcasing. The go-tos, especially for industry-recognized conferences and showcases, include the Factor Showcase Grant, the SOCAN Foundation, Arts Councils, and Music BC travel grants, or your provincial equivalent. Make a note of their deadlines and make sure that you get in your application early enough to hopefully get results before you leave. Several of those are also available for industry representatives going to build their business as well as artists. Preparation before getting to the festival conference is so important. For anyone attending, whether you're an artist or industry, you want to do as much research and reaching out beforehand as you can to make the most of the opportunity once you're there. Because once you're there, it can get a little bit overwhelming. So some of these things include reaching out to the people that will be in attendance. Many events provide a delegate backend on their website where you can create a profile and browse the other confirmed attendees. They may also provide a way to reach out to someone, but I find that it's a bit more effective and professional to track down their email instead and shoot them a note a few weeks before going. So once you reach out to them, it's a good idea to invite them to your showcase, ask if you could meet briefly. If you have a mutual contact that could introduce you, then even better. Utilize any B2B or business-to-business meetings that are available. These might be organized by such organizations as Music BC or SEMA or the festival themselves. Sign up for the mailing list for those groups as well as the festival so that you can be notified when such registrations are available. You also want to reach out to any organizations you're a part of to see if they'll be hosting any events or minglers. For example, SOCAN or the Music Managers Forum sometimes host meetups for their members, or certain labels will have parties that could be a good chance to meet their teams. Of course, you want to go through the panels and workshops that are being offered and bookmark your favorites. Even if the topic is something you feel you already understand or maybe isn't completely relevant to your business, if the people speaking are on your list of targets that you would like to meet, it's a great way to put a face to a name and have an icebreaker for introducing yourself if you see them later on. You also want to download the festival app if they have one and create your profile there and build out your schedule. If it's possible, I like to sync their calendar with my own Google Calendar so that you can keep track of both the conference events and your own meetings. If you're the analog type, write them down, get your planner, do whatever you have to do that works for you, but definitely have a schedule planned before you get there. Specifically for artists, some things that you want to do in preparation include double-checking your set time and making sure that you prepare a set that is strictly within the allowed time. As far as song choices go, you want to highlight the very best of what you have to offer. People might not be able to stay for your whole set, so you want the 5 minutes that they're there to be great ones. Include any songs that have done well or are recognizable from being popular online or are fan favorites, or just that you've generally gotten good feedback on. I would say it's not really the right time to try out new material that you haven't really worked on too much yet. I personally don't think it's a problem to repeat songs or even entire sets. If you have multiple showcases, do what you feel comfortable with. And of course, do all of the same preparation steps that I mentioned ahead of time about reaching out to folks, highlighting your schedule, and also make a note of any other artists that you really want to meet or see that you have the potential to collaborate with down the road, because those are some of the best relationships that you can make. At the event. Now you're here. You want to get a lay of the land when you arrive and a sense of how long it'll take you to get from place to place, where you're staying, and where the kind of center of the action is, and what transportation options are available, of course. I highly recommend rideshare scooters if they're available. There's sometimes an artist or a delegate zone that might have drinks, swag, and other kind of giveaways, and those are a great place to hang out and meet other artists, of course. While it's important to follow your schedule, it is also good to remain a little bit flexible. You want to prioritize the panels and the meetings and the showcases where there's definitely somebody that you want to meet. But if life takes you down a different path, sometimes it's worth following it, because the friendships and the connections that you make are always the biggest takeaways. Who knows? You could even end up at a castle with an open bar and a moat in the middle of Austin. True story. When it comes to shows, outside of the artists that you're targeting for work or your own showcase, of course, there's nothing wrong with seeing the acts that you just like personally. But it can eat up a lot of time if you're constantly waiting in lines for those big ticket events. So to balance it out, I'd like to choose like my one must-see act of the festival and commit to doing that. But beyond that, prioritize being a professional and going to the events that are going to benefit you more than being a fan. Make sure to carve out some downtime as well when you need it. You need to sleep. Like Mom would say, drink lots of water. If you need to step back to recharge, definitely do so. Alcohol and substances can be overwhelmingly available at music events, and while it can be super fun to let loose a bit, you don't want to overindulge while you're still in performing or networking mode. You might not make the best first impressions, and it can make it even harder to remember who you met and what you talked about. Moderation is key. For artists, while you're performing, as I mentioned, don't go over your set length, and there's no encores at festivals. Unless you're the headline artist and there's absolutely nobody after you. Maybe you can get away with it, but general rule, no encores. Also, of course, try to set up and tear down as quickly as you can to maximize your set time and to be respectful of your peers that are playing after you. If you're newer to festival setups, it's even a good idea to rehearse your set with that setup and tear down to make sure that you don't eat into your own set time with technical issues that could have been avoided. And don't be discouraged if the room isn't packed, because you never know who the one person at the back of the bar might be. Always play your best, be gracious, and be kind to everyone involved. Networking. A huge part of going to festivals is, of course, the networking. It's not everyone's favorite. But my advice is to not overthink it. Don't approach it like a sales pitch. It's about building relationships. Chat about things other than your business to try to establish a common ground, ask questions, and bring up what you do when it comes naturally. If you tend to be more on the introverted side, it can help to go with a friend who is outgoing and help you say hello to new people. Just make sure you don't get stuck in the comfort of only hanging out with people you already know. On that note, it's important to have a system for remembering the folks that you do meet and the conversations that you have. Some people collect business cards and take notes on them. Personally, I like to keep a list going on the Notes app on my phone, and basically as soon as I step away from somebody that I want to remember, I'll note down their name and what we talked about, because I don't personally have the best memory, and if I wait any longer than that, you'll be meeting the next person on to the next thing, and it could just slip away. Post-event. Well, you survived. Give yourself some time to recover. Festival fallout, as we like to call it, is real. Once you've recovered, gathered yourself together, follow up with the people that you meet. I'll say it again. Do the follow-up. If it's artist to artist, it might be a more casual connection. Maybe you're sending them DMs on Instagram. Maybe you're texting them. And that's fine. Just say it was great to meet and you want to stay connected. If it was a business connection, it's a bit more appropriate to send an email, remind them how you met, what you talked about, and of course share any follow-up materials that are relevant. Try to keep track of the contacts that you make, however works for you. Might be a spreadsheet where you note down the people that you meet in each region, because that's handy for looking back at down the road. Maybe you meet a publicist from Germany, and at the moment you don't have a use for somebody like that, but in a few years, when you're about to tour Germany, you can look back on that list of folks, and it'll have all of a sudden paid off. And of course, organize all of your receipts so that you can easily prepare any final reports for the grants that you successfully got. And that's that. Conferences and festivals can be a really good time. Just make sure that you make the most of the opportunity.